Hey, it's Nathan, and I'm gonna break down this recent walkie-talkie animation I made. So, this was a project where I had been asked to make an animation of a walkie-talkie character that was provided for me. The maximum length for this project was 2 seconds, and so I kept the storyboard really short, with it doing a simple bounce up and down before shutting off. I had to first create my audio clip I would be animating off of. I wanted this walkie-talkie character to be angry and yelling, so I looked up the most angry and loudest film character I could think of.
On that stool with your own sticks in hand, or if you make one mistake,
I pulled this audio clip and pared it down best I could, and after throwing on some distortion and additional sound effects, I had my walkie-talkie sound I needed. But before I could throw it in Dragon Frame just yet, I had to build my walkie-talkies. Taking a large board of plywood, I cut it into 3 walkie-talkie parts. A regular walkie-talkie, a squash, and a stretch. With these 2D pieces, I tested out what kind of bounce I wanted for this character. For somebody angry, I figured it should be rigid and heavy. The first few tests had too much bounce to it, and so I toned it down, almost entirely removing the squash frame to the character. I also made the decision to animate it on 2s, so it had this rough, classic feel to it. I worked with my photography teacher to build the set. One of the mistakes I'd been making was not diffusing my light, and so because I didn't have any diffusers, I had to come up with an alternative. I used kitty litter bags and leftover Indian food to-go cups to cover and diffuse the light, and as ragtag as it seemed, it did seem to work very well. Finally, I could begin animating. The walkie-talkie anticipates the jump before bouncing a few times and falling to a rigid stop. There were several secondary actions I wanted as the character bounced. You may notice the speaker in the front pulls outward with each loud inflection of the audio clip. Most notable is the antenna on top, which is filmed on 1s. I did my best to make it mimic the waveform of the audio as it plays. The little bead on top continues to bounce with the walkie-talkie. As it falls, you'll see its smear frames. The dial is pretty straightforward to animate, using in and out of the rotation. Unfortunately, I'd hit my 48 frame limit before I could make it fall over, so I scrapped that part. After filming, I take the footage and drop it into After Effects, where I mask out the rigging and clean up the sides of the frame where you can see my workshop. The edited footage then could be done and ready to go, but I was recently inspired by Spider-Verse to add these overlay effects and make that difficult to see dial pop a little bit more. Going into Photoshop and opening the image sequence, I draw and adjusted the click text over top of it. Add little sparks, and again it's another relatively simple ease in, ease out movement. Compiling the click and walkie-talkie footage with the sound effect in Premiere Pro, and my video is done and good to go. Thank you for watching and letting me introduce you to my process.